So welcome everybody. It feels a bit of a privilege to kick off National Adoption Week for Family Action and PAC-UK. And this event is all about celebrating everything Adopteens as we mark our 10-year anniversary, which feels really special. So I'll just give like a bit of a brief overview of what we're going to cover in the next hour. So we've got some new footage from our 10-year celebration event, which we're going to be kicking off with. Our lovely partnership with Thunderbrain Productions has you know, we've done another film with them again. This one's a little bit shorter, but it's basically a lovely celebration of all we've achieved over the last 10 years, and it captured our celebration event that we had in the summer. And it also talks about our kind of aims for the future, and it captures lots of young people's voices and why Adopteens is so important to them. I'm going to be sharing details from our impact report, which we're going to be publishing this week as well, which is, you know, again, an impact report that covers 10 years of our work. I'm going to be pulling out some of our milestones. I'm going to be talking about our achievements, our learning as well, and some of the impact that that's had on the young people that we've been supporting over the years. Then we've got Nat, who's joined us today. Nat is one of our young people who's been part of the service for, I'll get it wrong if I try and do it, but Nat will speak to that later. I think he's been part of the service for about 3 or 4 years now. So I'm going to be having a little chat with Nat later on. And then I'll be finishing off by kind of looking at the future and our hopes for the future. So I'll introduce myself as well. My name's Tanya, and I'm the practice manager of Adopteens and the other offshoot projects that we have. And I have been part of this service since it was born, since it came to being. I started in January 2015, so I have been here 10 years alongside the service, so it feels extra special for that as well. So without much further ado, we're going to watch the film in a minute, which, as I said, is just an amazing celebration of our work over the last 10 years. We had an event that was held at Temple Newsome in July, and it was really the brainchild of our youth council, which is our voice and influence group. We've got about 8 young people that are part of that, 7 or 8 young people. And it took up all of last year's youth council events, mainly with them. And they were the ones who organised the entire event, really. I always joke that it felt like we worked for them. So beyond co-production, I think, you know, we supplied the money and did bits of the organisation, but really all of the parts of it were theirs. And they created it. And their aim was really not only just a celebration of everything, but really they were quite adamant about the fact that they wanted to educate the public, which is why we held it at Temple Newsome. They wanted to use it as an opportunity to educate the public a bit more on adoption and what it means to be an adopted teenager. So we captured people who were there on the day, members of the public, and brought them into that kind of celebration as well. And yeah, it was something that I don't think we could have done 5 years ago with our youth council. So it was really like a culmination of our learning of how to develop and work and do meaningful voice and influence work. So without much further ado, I'll let Jin share the film.
Today we're at Temple Newsome in Leeds. We're raising awareness about what it means to be adopted.
This is the 10-year celebration of Adopteens. Peer support is so important and they do such a good job at it.
We've been celebrating 10 years. 10 years of Adopteens, which is quite an incredible feat.
I've been going to Adopteens for about 3 years now, and it helps adopted teens find that community and find other kids who might be going through the same thing they are.
Adopteens is where adopted people come around and socialise together. It's important to know what's you're not going through it alone.
It's just really nice to actually be around people that are just like you but also not.
So many young people think that they're the only one that have gone through this experience, even when they've got siblings that might be adopted as well.
Our eldest has been involved for, I think, about 4 years now. It's given him a great opportunity to connect with other adopted young people.
If I've had a problem with a teacher at school, a lot of my friends might think I'm crazy, they might think I'm being dramatic. But if I go to my group chat with my adoptees, they get it. It's, oh yeah, that happened to me.
It feels good to know like you're not the only one and like you've got other people around you.
It's all about creating a support network of people that have a shared experience. Without peer support, young people struggle. Without people to relate to, without people to understand your experiences.
And I'm still always struck by young people that come to the service that have never met other adopted young people. So it's hugely important for young people to have this opportunity to connect, to share their experiences, but just to be young people together.
We're there to represent the voices of every adopted young person who may not have the confidence to speak for themselves. We're there to show that we are human, we have feelings, and to kind of reduce the stigma and the taboo around adoption.
So they've very much spearheaded this whole event, and that's the beauty of Adopteens. It is a service set up by young people, for young people, and it's run by young people.
We're really about co-production in Adopteens. We've done about 5 films. We've created a training programme called Adopt to Change, where some of the young people train professionals who are social workers, therapists. We've had members of the DFE attend. They've designed that training, they've delivered that training. It is an impressive feat.
Training for social workers and teaching them how we want to be treated and the chance to be able to influence their practice means so much to so many young people that maybe don't have the ability to give their voice. People kind of don't want to talk about adoption. They don't want to address the word adoption. They don't want to feel like adoption is something that they have to talk about. But it is, and we're gonna.
People have misconceptions about adoption, how it's spoken about or not spoken about, how people are treated in, whether it's in schools or friendship groups, is often not really good.
Because there's a lot of stigma around being adopted, they kind of think that it's a bad thing, where that's really not the case. Like, it might not be the family you were born with, but it is still your family.
We've got a youth council, so we talked to the youth council last year and said we've got a 10-year anniversary event coming up, what would you like to do? And they very much immediately together said we'd really like kind of Joe Public to understand what it means to be adopted.
And we started building like this whole idea of an adopted child and how we can like thread that into an event, and we managed to do that through a treasure hunt.
Terry is a fictitious adopted person made up from the collective lived experience of our youth council members. So Terry's story kind of unfolds as you go through each of the treasure clues, so you learn a little bit more about adoption.
Going around this treasure hunt and picking up the pieces of Terry's story in the way that we pick up the pieces of our own story as we grow older. Terry is a character that is supposed to be us.
Terry is a kid who grew up in Hare Hills and he was adopted, and he wanted to find out more about his identity and like his life before being adopted.
And so we created Terry so people who don't have these adoption stories can kind of almost feel that journey.
There is a lot of change that happens when you go into secondary school, whether you're adopted or not. But when you're adopted, it can be an additional challenge, additional triggers.
So it's a bit of a minefield really, because they're bringing lots of baggage to an educational institution, and it's how they navigate that.
And also it's the importance of having those conversations with school and professionals so that they have an understanding of what adopted children might be triggered by, what support they might need, and having safe spaces, safe people around them is super important.
So I'm I'm a trained teacher, but kind of coming through teacher training, nobody ever made any efforts to make me aware of the issues that might face adopted students.
At my school we didn't have any person that was really educated in adoption, so if we just had at least one person for that in every school, it'd make much more of a difference.
One of the things they did via the Adopt to Change programme recently was made a video, and so my son was part of making a video which was aimed to inform educators about the sort of issues adopted students face. I think it can be really difficult.
People have this narrative in their head that when someone's adopted, it's all okay, like that's the magic button that fixes it all, but that's not the case. Those experiences still exist, there's still lots of loss, there's still lots of trauma. You know, I just want people to take away that support is still really, really important for the teenage years.
It's really important that Adopteens is able to see it through for maybe another 10 years, just so that we can be able to support adopted children.
I think my perception of being adopted changed because I was a lot more negative about being adopted. It's really important for the future because there's going to be more kids who need help.
I would find it so difficult if I did never have adoptees. If I didn't have adoptees, my teenage years would be horrific.
We've got a long way to go in schools. Schools still are not there with understanding the impact of adoption. We've still got a long way to go for people to really understand about the impact of adoption being lifelong.
More and more people are becoming aware, but the problem is we shouldn't have to be coming out here and celebrating adoption because nobody else will. It should be in schools it's celebrated, government-wide it's celebrated.
We want to be able to get the message out there. We want funders to come along to fund this really, really important work so we can take it beyond Yorkshire and Humberside and actually set up Adopteen services the length and breadth of the country because, you know, connecting young people like this is transformational.
Oh, I'm back. Hi. I hope you enjoyed that film as much as I did. Obviously, I've got a very personal connection to this. So when I first saw it, it definitely sparked some tears in my eyes just to hear, you know, what the service means to some of our young people. And I think this presentation that I'm about to lead into really pulls some of that out as well. It's about the impacts that it really has on the young people and the families that we work with. So I am going to share my screen and I apologise if I don't get this right. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a bit about, you know, a lot of this stuff is pulled from our impact report, which, as I've said, we're going to be releasing this week as well. So I just want to talk about kick off with some of the key events and the achievements that we've done over the past 10 years, which we talk a little bit about in that film. So as I said, we were founded in, you know, there was a big consult with the Department for Education in 2014 that looked at, gathered the views of young people about what services they wanted. And that's how our Adopteen service was shaped, really. What young people wanted was opportunities to meet up in safe spaces, and they wanted to have a voice. And so that's the core of Adopteens, and the Yorkshire and Humber Consortium funded that before we regionalised into One Adoption. So we started there in 2015. We started with 10 members and we grew to, over the 10 years, we've supported over 330 members, which, you know, that growth has been steadily growing, you know, over these last 10 years, and we're very proud of that. Another thing that we're incredibly proud of is the films that I feel like it's a hallmark of our service, really. We've got a wonderful partnership with Sunderbrain Productions, and we have, you know, created five films, and a PAC on a wider scale has created many more as well, which we know are used widely, and social workers from across the country, you know, feed that back to us about how these films are used in their trainings for adopters, or with trainings for, you know, with social workers. So we've got, what I thought I'd do is we've just got a little snippet here. I'd take us back to the very beginning, the first film that we ever created, and that is Voices. So I'm just got a little clip here to give us all a bit of a reminder of that lovely film that we made. Now I'm hoping the sound is going to share.
My biggest bugbear is the question, and all adopted children will have been asked this, so when are you going to find your real parents? And it's that word, it's that real word that really just grates on me.
That's the thing with adoption, people can either be too rude or too kind, and it's never in between. You don't get treated like everyone else.
As an adopted person, I feel as if I'm not part of the world.
Being adopted is like living a regular life, just with a different family to who you were born with. Sometimes that can be difficult, but other times it's easy.
The real truth is that you are adopted, and I am so grateful that I have been adopted, but it's like a roller coaster. It's like you can have good days and you can have bad days, and it's because you've got these feelings like inside of you, like saying someone like wanted me but couldn't keep me, and it gets to me a lot. That even though you try so hard, sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah, and that whole film is about 25 minutes long. And when we made that film back in 2016 and we aired it in 2017, we had a premiere at Hyde Park Cinema in Leeds, and that's where we showed it. So I've got fond memories of that film, and that, like all of our resources that we make, these are all available from our website. So yeah, alongside the other, we do the other kind of work that we do is around making resourceful leaflets for people to use. So we've got the top tips for schools, which we use in our Adopt to Change training. We've got myth versus reality, which is all about busting the myths between, what it is to be adopted versus what it is to be fostered, and other forms of kind of care experience. We have a resource on there about accessing adoption support for under 18 that one of our young people co-produced alongside me. And we've got other things like a lovely letter that a young person wrote of the advice they'd give to their younger self, among other things, on our website. And I suppose we can't speak about our achievements without talking about our Adopt to Change training, which has kind of been born out of, our youth council work. It was, we created that in 2021 post-pandemic, and since its creation, we have now delivered 10 events across the country, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on. And we're now commissioned by Adoption England to run events. So we've been commissioned this year by them, and we ran 5 events actually, and then we've been recommissioned to run another 4 next year, with an aim of introducing more of the training to education, with a more angle of education, thinking about aiming it at virtual schools, Ofsteds, educational psychologists, designated teachers, people like that. So, and I think as well, another kind of, real achievement was getting 3 years funding from the National Lottery Community Fund. We got that in 2023, and it really allowed us to expand our service beyond what we've commissioned to do by, of course, One Adoption, who was our foundation of our service, really. So we were able to grow from delivering 11 events to 20 plus events per year. We were able to make our offer a bit more accessible and diverse. We were able to offer better events for our young people. We hired Vicky, who is our Adopteens mentor, who is also an adopted adult, and she's been such a great addition to the team. And we're able to enhance our website and our brand. And you'll see that in our impact report as well. This is an excerpt from the impact report. So this is our service in numbers. As I said, we've worked with 330 young people across the years. Our Adopt to Change training has reached 466 professionals, and I'm fairly certain we've hit all 33 regional adoption agencies in that as well, across the country. We've delivered 65 youth council events across the 10 years, and we've had 31 members. I think that number is slightly more actually, but it's 31 youth council members across the years as well. We've had 66 social events. And again, as I've said, in the last few years, we've really been able to increase those. When we started out, we just had, I think in the first year we had 3, and then it's gone up steadily. With our core offer with One Adoption, we were able to run 4 to 5. And then with our addition of our Lottery Community Fund, we were able to increase that. And this year we've had 9 events, and we've able to, since COVID as well, we've been able to bring in online events, and we've got an amazing collaboration with someone who delivers our online creative events. We've had 736 people attend those events in 10 years, and that's obviously a mixture of young people re-attending. So I think when we have events, it's like a nice mix. Sometimes it's like 60% versus of people re-attending versus 40% new, or that might be 70-30. So there's always a nice mixture of new people coming along with those re-attenders who like to come to multiple events. Our online resources, this is only from, we rebranded our website in 2023. And so these figures are from 2023. So we've had 5,500 visitors, 15,000 page views, 332 downloads, and our YouTube films have been watched over 30,000 times. So yeah, I'll just talk a bit about our social events, which really are the kind of foundation of our work. I think the keystone, the foundation. I think this is really, you know, we wouldn't be able to do the voice and influence work as well without these events, because often they are the starting place for young people to come along and to meet other adopted people. You'll see in some of the feedback that I share, often it's the first time they've met another adopted young person. Often it's the first time, you know, they've definitely met 16 young people in the same room, all who are adopted. And, you know, we always share at these events, you know, the workers who are adopted with lived experience, we share that we are adopted as well. And it really has an impact, that. And I think, you know, though adoption isn't it's not our focus of our social events, it's not what we, you know, we're not there to talk about, it's often not talked about between young people. But what we do provide is a space for that to be accepted and acknowledged, and that everybody there is adopted, and it's why we run these events. We run a variety of very diverse events. We do high adrenaline stuff, which lots of young people love. We're going snow tubing in November, which is a firm favourite, where people throw themselves down a big ski slope in a big rubber tube. Very fun. Even in the cold, they love it. Go-karting is another one that people love. And then we mix that up with more therapeutic or crafty kind of events. We did this llama picture here is from our llama trekking event that we did in March. I wasn't able to go to that, and I'm gutted about it, because the feedback was just amazing and people had such a great time. You know, and we have great feedback from those events. We've got 95% satisfaction, and as I've said before, we get people repeating and coming back, and what that does is although young people don't always meet the same people at the same events, you know, they do build up a community, and they do meet, you know, other people, and they will have repeat with other young people that they've met. And I think one of the other kind of aspects of that is that parents have started to build a little community as well from coming to these events. And that's our main purpose, is about building connection and confidence for these young people. And this is some of the lovely feedback that we've had. And I just wanted to pull out one of these. I mean, you can read these as I'm talking, but for me, the one that strikes me is they got to see other children who were adopted. He was pleased to see another teen needing to take a break from the session. Mum, that girl is like me. She gets overwhelmed too. He said this with some relief, as others feel like he does. And I think that's, you know, it's really pertinent to me, is that quote, because being able to see someone else struggling and that being okay, you know, as it says in the quote, it's a real relief for these young people when they see other people just like them. And we can't underestimate the difference that has, really. So our youth council, I always like to say it's where the magic happens. It really is a place, you know, where we've built a supportive community of our young people to come together and share their experiences of what it's like to be adopted, and for them to really gain confidence. And I think Nat's going to speak a little bit about that later. You know, we know that it reduces isolation in our young people, and you know, which is tricky for this peer group, and it promotes respect for differing views, experiences and opinions, and it allows young people to build trust and a sense of belonging. In the beginning, we were very much probably on the consultation side of things, you know, we'd have people come and ask questions of our young people, and they would feedback on what they thought. But now I feel like over the years we've definitely, I mean, we don't always sit in this camp. I think it's hard to always sit in it, but we definitely, most of our work is about co-production, which is really about listening to what the young people want to produce and do, and how we can facilitate that and work with them. And again, that's led into us moving from, you know, shorter term pieces of work. We would do maybe 2 or 3 pieces of work over the year. And now we've tend to move to do longer term pieces of work. So young people can really get their teeth into something, can really explore a subject, and can really produce something, you know, produce something that's quality at the end of it. And that takes time, which leads into, you know, the power of listening. You know, we spend a lot of our time listening to our young people, rather than kind of talking to them or at them about what we want. And I think that feeds into this longer term work. You know, we'll often come to a youth council and it might not be that we can get work done that day, because actually what they need is a space to not be working and just be together. And one of them might have had something come up that they want to talk about. So actually, yeah, it's really important to us. And I think some of the young people speak to that as well, about how heard and validated and accepted and listened to they feel. And so, yeah, that's the power of time as well. Again, none of this can be rushed. I think that's something that we've really learned over the years, that it takes time and relationship. And through that is another thing that, I mean, I feel like I've said this so many times now, but we are really consistent and reliable. Our staff have stayed the same over 10 years. I've been part of it 10 years. Gain has been part of it 9 years. You know, staff really stay on and we're consistent throughout it. And I think that really builds a foundation of you know, safety for our young people. And I suppose in terms of the impact that we've had, you know, I've shared the resources and the films that we've had, which we know have an impact and how they're used. But I also wanted to share this that was shared with me by a virtual head lead from Leeds. They got in touch with me to share that the National School Framework, which has just been released, has this change in it. And they wanted us to share it with our young people and thank them for the hard work that they've done in sharing their views on this particular topic. And I think our films speak to this, and our top tips for schools speak to this, that bullying is really a consistent issue for our young people within school. And this National School Framework really pulls out that schools have to really take this seriously now. And what I think is really important about this is that care experienced young people and adopted young people sit alongside other protected characteristics. And I feel that that's a really positive kind of step that Ofsted have made here. So yeah, I feel that that's a really significant impact. And obviously, as soon as I got that, I was sharing that with the young people to say, look at this. It's quite incredible that actually a change has been made. So this is some of the impact that the Youth Council has on our members. So it makes me feel like there's a chance that the way people see us as adopted people could change, that we could eventually get the support we need and deserve. I am free to say what I think. The Adopteens workers really understand us and make us feel comfortable and included. And Adopteens has not only given my son a safe place to feel like his true self, feel accepted and have fun, it's also helped him develop emotional literacy around his adoption. He's been given new opportunities to develop his personal skills, also as he was invited to join the Youth Council and go on to be part of the Adopt to Change. So, Adopt to Change. And, you know, I spoke a little bit about it before. It started in 2021. We're now in 2025, and we will be delivering 4 more sessions next year with our commissioning from Adoption England. It is co-designed training, and it was born out of, we do a lot of conferences, or we did a lot of conferences before we developed this training. We were invited to speak at conferences. And I think we would come away with such glowing feedback from those, and we kind of came away and thought about how can how can we do more with this? And it was also inspired by the Care Council. So looked after people have been doing this type of training for a long time. And so we were inspired by that. And we set up a project in 2021 with some funding from Children in Need. And we set out to do this. And within the first year, we were running a pilot. And then we did a full day's training in York to 60 professionals. And it's made up of a series of workshops is the training. I think we've got about 7 or 8 workshops across the day, and they're all on different themes of what are important to our young people. Things like identity, transitions, the language that we use, how we can tackle unconscious bias. The school experience is a theme that's interwoven throughout it. And the workshops are clever because they are quite immersive and interactive. If you attend, they can get you to dance like a chicken. It's very funny, very embarrassing, but it has a meaning. It's not just, they're not just being mean. And as I said, we've now trained 466 professionals over 10 years, which is, you know, I'm so proud of our young people for doing that. It's and if you've been to one or if you go to one, you know, the young people lead it. I speak for a little bit, but not very much. They really hold their own. And that is the feedback that we get from staff about how they really present themselves so well, and they really can hold space and they can find humour and they can challenge professionals. It's very inspiring to watch. And the impact that it's had. So what we're always very conscious of is that when we do these things, we want to hear from professionals about, well, how has this made an impact on you? How can we feed back to our young people that are involved in these things that change is actually happening? So the feedback that we've had is that the professionals have greater confidence in challenging schools. They use the resources that we've got, and from the experience that they've, you know, had from the young people and the workshops that they've experienced at Adopt to Change, they can take that and then go and better be able to advocate for the young people they're supporting. We've heard that the identity workshop that we run, certain areas in the country are now using it to in their assessments and also in their stage 2 adopter training. So they've actually taken that and changed their training. People have reflected back, workers have reflected back about, you know, one of our workshops is about language and case notes, and they've taken that on board and been more thoughtful on how they can use child-focused language and how they can think about the child that might be reading those in the future. We've inspired other regional adoption agencies to really think about their services for young people and how they can really build on what they've already got or start their services. And we also, one of our workshops is about thinking about how regional adoption agencies work with 16 plus and how they can set up services that, you know, without the need for consent from parents. So it's and that's just some of the things that I've pulled out. You know, it's just really having an impact on social workers' thinking and practice, which is exactly what we set out to do. So now I'm going to bring that in, if that's okay. And can I stop sharing my screen here? Because otherwise it'll be very strange if I'm not able to see Nat when I'm talking to him. Okay. Hi, Nat.
Hello. Hello. Hello,
Welcome.
everyone. I'm Nat.
So great to see you, Nat.
So,
you okay?
yeah, I'm all right. It's all good. All good. I've got script. I've got a script to go and read off if I need to, but yeah, it's fine.
You'll be fine, Nat. You'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so do you want to start off, Nat, by just introducing yourself and just telling people what made you join Adopteens and how long have you been part of it? Because I think I probably got that wrong in the beginning.
Well, actually, you actually got it somewhat correct. I have been part of the Adopteens for 4 years. And so I joined when I was 14 and I'm now going close to my 18th birthday. So I've been part of it throughout my later teenage years. What motivated me, or what made me want to join, is that I wanted to meet other adopted people. I also watched a few of the old videos on one of the websites, and from watching those, I was like, yeah, I would like to do that, and that would be a nice thing to do. So that was it. And then
Lovely.
yeah.
And so just talk to the people here, but I know your journey through Adopteens, but let people here know, what's your journey been from when you first started to where you are now?
So I initially started with the activity days. So these were the days where I was like, where I think one of them was high ropes for like a go ape place, and then another one was go karting. I can remember that. Both of them were really, really good. I got to meet other adopted people, and then through that, I was looking on the chat forum that we had, this very old chat forum that we were getting to talk to people, talking to other people outside of Adopteens, outside of the meetings, because they weren't as frequent as they were now. And then from that point, I saw like an advert, or when my mum was emailed, hey, do you want to join the youth council? And so therefore, then I joined the youth council. So I've been part of that for roughly 3 years, and then recently joined Adopt to Change and been presenting training towards social workers and all the other stuff that Tanya was saying about all these people. So, yeah,
And it's
development training.
And it's Nat has been on a journey with Adopt to Change, haven't you? And it's been what's happened is, in Adopt to Change, Nat, we start new people kind of by observing, and then slowly giving kind of which pieces do they want to present. And then this last event that we ran in Birmingham, I mean, Nat took on a whole workshop and more, with challenging professionals. It's just lovely to see that growth in Adopt to Change. Yeah. So how important, Nat, do you think it has been to meet other adopted people?
Well, so yeah, well, first of all, if you look at when you're a teenager, and this is a very, very important years of your life, because not only do you have like GCSEs and everything else, like exams, you also start learning how social dynamics work and how people operate and how you operate as a person. And that comes into identity. And when you try and look at your identity as an adopted person, you're a bit confused, because you're like, oh, there's like this massive part of my past that I have no idea about. So I think meeting other people that are adopted, and then being able to talk about the similar or the not similar situations or experiences that you have had really helps build that sort of connection and come into your own identity as an adopted person, because other people have had this experience, and then you can talk about it, and it's pretty good. And then I think it's like being able to share your stories, and everyone having a rough idea of what if you've had the near the same or somewhat of a different experience, because no two adopted people's stories are the same. That's kind of like one of the things that I like to or say or reiterate each training session that I do, is that there's no two adopted people that have the same story. So that's one of the points that I'd like to make there. Yeah.
And I know, that you've made connections with some of the other young people from the Youth Council, from Adopt to Change, and you've got your own little WhatsApp groups outside of our WhatsApp group. And I think that's been a lovely, you've just got that connection that carries on outside of our service, hasn't it? You've made those connections, and I hope those will be, long-lasting connections that you
I've met people outside of Adopteens hours with through Adopt that I've met through Adopteens, and through the days that we've done. It's been really amazing. It's definitely really nice to have this sort of like friend group or community that you all know. There's one thing that you all don't really want to, sometimes don't want to talk about it, sometimes do talk about it. It's like that one weird thing that you all know that you have in common, and it's kind of like refreshing in some ways. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Thanks, Nat. And then what do you think you would tell? Because one of the things that we're always conscious of is that some young people find it really daunting. My 12, 13, 14-year-old self probably wouldn't have come to an Adopteens event. I'd have been too nervous. So what advice would you give to young people that maybe are a bit apprehensive about coming along to one of our events?
Well, first of all, you're not forced into anything. It's like if you're, let's say, for example, if you're going on the alpaca walk, let's use that as a good one. You'll be able to, you can walk alongside the alpacas and you can just get talking, and you don't even have to start talking to people. It's all right just to be there, because it's what you're doing by being there is by you're first of all exposing yourself to all the people that are adopted, and then maybe some other like quite then people can come up to you and maybe start interacting with you, and then you can start warming up to it, because we don't chuck you straight into the deep end and be like, how old are you, what's your name, what's this. We don't jump in at that high end. We just go in quite slow. We make sure that we build it up, and then hopefully towards the end we'll be having those conversations, like tons of conversations and fruitful conversations. Because for each one that I went to, each activity day I went to, at the start it's like a desert wasteland. Nobody's talking to anyone, and it all feels really, really awkward. And then towards the end, everyone's really happy, laughing, a few jokes here and there, and it all comes together. So it is perfectly fine. Everyone's nervous. Like myself, I'm quite nervous if I was going to go to it. So I definitely think just by being there, you're already breaking it. So I think just go, see what happens. You never know. You might make a really good friend.
I love that explanation. That is very true. They do start like that. It's very true. Okay, sorry, I've got lost. I'm still thinking about that comment. So do you feel that Adopteens has opened up more opportunities to you, kind of, either within Adopteens, outside of Adopteens, you've got a big life outside of us, Nat?
Yeah. So yeah, that's well, first of all, I do quite a lot outside of college and Adopteens hours. I think Adopteens have obviously brought a different set of opportunities. So I'm part of the Adopt to Change. So as I said earlier, that I learned how to present to people in a professional manner. I learned how to articulate myself in a way that I don't make myself confused or make other people confused. And I think these opportunities have definitely been able to show me have an insight into professional life. So what if I was going to go into like a board meeting in a stereotypical job, like what would there be? What would the meetings look like? What would the presentations look like? I think that sort of exposure to that's probably one of the benefits. And then being able to and just having the whole experience of it is probably really good. And I think I wouldn't get that specifically anywhere else. And actually, because of Adopteens, I've been put on boards at my school, at my college. I've been put on boards because of this experience. I've been because I've shown these skills from Adopteens, they've put me forward for things. So it's really good that I think that that Adopteens and Adopt to Change and all of it really is really good.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that, Nat. I didn't know that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what messages would you give to professionals about the importance of services like this?
So yeah, I have a very long list, but I'm gonna have to cut it down. But if what message would professionals would I like to give professionals? So first of all, I think having the same person or having the same group of people, like you, Gaynor, Joe, oh no, I forgot the name. But basically all the people that run it, you always see them, and we've built a relationship. Each youth council member, each Adopt to Change member has built a relationship with you. That obviously helps because we're going to be showing a side to you that we may not be confident in, may not actually know that much in, but we know all of it is that it's happened and we may need help with it, or we just want someone to be able to understand it. So I think having the same people obviously helps. And so if you want to like try and build a service like Adopteens, and you will not be able to get what we've done right now, because we're like if you picture like a rocket going up into space, we're like quite high up, but if you're going to start at the bottom, you're going to have to get to the point that we are. So you've got to make sure that you build something like activity days that gets the young people going, and then from there you can start asking people, hey, what would your thoughts be on this? What is slowly bringing it in? And then maybe some people like someone who has the same characteristics or quite wants us to talk, you can try and find them, bring them out and try and nurture them a bit, and then it'll grow into something like Adopteens. And then as Tanya was saying, that there's been, what is it, 300 Adopteens on the youth council or something like that.
Not quite.
No, that was
31 members of the youth council, but we've
No.
supported 330 people over the years. But
Yeah, 330 people over the years, and there's like 36 people that have been on the youth council. So you've obviously the number of people that want to come forward and talk about their experiences for the wider impact is very minimal. So you've got to make sure you've got to find, because you can't force it really. It's kind of just happens, and then within the nature of Adopteens, it just builds itself. So yeah, that's the whole building part of it. But if you do get something like this, well, if you do everything correct and when it happens, or if it goes and when it goes very well, you'd get a lot of really, really great things. As Joe said, there's a wider impact, not on the community and on adopted people's lives. So yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Rant over.
I don't think it was a rant. I think it's I think you're just speaking to the point that it's important to take your time and build it up. It doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Mm-hmm.
And then, just going back to where we started of this presentation, the 10-year celebration event, how did it feel to be part of that? Because you were very much involved in the planning of that and the delivery of that.
Yeah, that was so well, it was really, I found it very interesting and fascinating how I was really interested in it, because that's how you do planning, how you plan for an event, how you learn the planning skills of from the start. Here's the idea, make a little framework, fill in the framework, and then we actually go and build it. So each adoptee in the youth council was at one point of the build of the celebration event. I think it was really amazing to see it come together, and all the satisfaction that you get from seeing the final product when you've put all the work in behind the scenes that not that many people have done. So I think I was just really grateful for being part of it. I really, really glad that it's been 10 years from this small thing to now such a big thing and having a wider impact on the community and for adopted people.
Well, thanks, Nat. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know I can see from the chat's been popping off, like people have really enjoyed listening to you and hearing your insights and what you've shared. From working with you over these past 4 years, I can really, really see you've just grown into yourself, and you are so confident, and the way that you speak, I could sit and chat to you all day, Nat. I really could. However, I do have to move on, and I'm really, I've just got a few more slides and another little video to show you at the end. So thank you, Nat, and do read the chat, because people have put some lovely comments in there. Okay, thank you. So I am going to just share the last few slides of my PowerPoint again, and Let me do that. Sorry. So yeah, so why is this work so important now more than ever? I just wanted to speak to this a little bit. Like, I feel like the momentum in youth voice and adoption is the strongest that it's ever been. You know, we certainly weren't in this place 10 years ago. There are a voice and influence, you know, Adoption England has done some incredible work around setting up a voice and influence network. And we've got the National Youth Forum as well. And I feel like it's just really, really building strength, and more regional adoption agencies across the country are setting up voice and influence work. And it, you know, we need to carry on that. You know, we're making a lot of headway, and it's really important. You know, it's part of the Adoption England strategy to have, you know, lived experience to inform work. It's a very valuable piece. You know, and just to speak to some wider statistics that I've kind of looked into, you know, currently there's a reduction in services. Core funding per resident is down 18%. And this is, you know, from the big mental health report of 2025 that Mind have just released. You know, there's growing isolation in our youth. 72% of 16 to 25-year-olds report loneliness and negatively impacting their mental health. And there's a mental health crisis for young people. 1 in 5 young people aged 8 to 25 report living with a probable mental health problem. Again, that's from the big mental health report. And I'm speaking to these wider statistics because that's without adding on the additional layer of care experience and trauma. So just pulling up, you know, there's 78% of adoptive parents of children aged 13 and older do not feel confident that appropriate support is available. And that's from Adoption Support Services, and that's from the Adoption Barometer report of 2025. So really, I feel like just want to speak to that part that actually these peer support networks, you know, the peer support services and the voice and influence services really, really do play a key role for our teenagers. They make a big difference. And this is a lovely quote from one of the parents that says, "This service is more valuable than any training session, any meeting, any webinar. This is something that you can't get through any other approach, something for kids to simply be." So yeah, that's and this is a really lovely quote from one of our parents. "I think adopted people are easily forgotten about, as there are no physical differences to remind people that this person has had and probably still has difficulty as a result of their early trauma. Being adopted affects every aspect of an individual throughout their entire life. Adopted people will frequently have other differences, such as learning differences, neurodiversity, mental health issues, all which impact on education, socialisation, and across so many aspects of life. It is well understood how difficult the teen years are. Throw in trauma and adoption, and it is clear that these young people need safe spaces to be together, nurtured, understood, and opportunities to develop friendships and skills to improve their overall well-being. I will be incredibly sad when my son is too old to be part of this group, but it is wonderful knowing that he has had connections to other adopted young people that he can carry with him throughout his life." And so this is our hopes, you know, it's our hopes, it all subject to funding over the next 10 years of where we hope to take our service. We would love to expand our service nationally and create Adopteens hubs across the UK. We really want to develop Adopt to Change and engage with, you know, health, education. We also want to kind of do some more advocacy about adoption and care experience becoming a protected characteristic. We want to strengthen our partnerships, as I've just said, with health, education, youth mental health services and justice services that support adopted young people. We want to grow our membership by offering more social events and opportunities. And we want to build our, you know, we used to have a service for 18 to 25-year-olds, and we want to re-establish that. And we want to give the 18 to 25-year-olds, you know, we want them to develop their own service for themselves. And of course, we want to maintain our core values, which is about co-production of our services. And then I'm just going to finish on this lovely video that Molly has done. Molly is part of our youth council. She's part of our Adopt to Change. Some of you may have seen her on our films before as well. And she's done this lovely short little video. It's about a minute long about what Adopteens means to her. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Molly and I've been with Adopteens for about 5 years, and I've been with the Adopt to Change project since it started in 2022. in the time that I've been with Adopteens, have been able to make some incredible friends, people that I'm still in contact with now, even if it's been a long time since I've seen them. I was able to feel seen and supported, to seek out support from my school and fight for what I know I deserve. I was also given a sense of community, a group of people and adults who actually saw me for who I was and understood what I meant when I said certain things, or they understood what other people just blatantly didn't. And if you were trying to look up how to set up an Adopteens type service, I think my biggest piece of advice would be to listen to the young people, because they know best, especially in this regard. They are the ones that are going to dictate the project, and that's how Adopteens has lasted so long, is because it is so driven by the young people that are a part of it. And in terms of the future of Adopteens, I'm more excited to see what the new generation are going to do. I want to see what projects they want to do, and I want to help encourage them to do what I've been able to do over the last 5 years. But I also want to take what I've learned and take that to my university and teach them how to better support adopted and care experienced young people, and try to allow young people to feel seen no matter where they are and how old they are. But yeah, and I hope you enjoy the film.
Excellent. Okay, I think I can stop sharing my screen now. So that is everything from me. I really hope you've enjoyed celebrating Adopteens with us today. We have, as I've said before, we've got an impact report that has been an incredibly hard piece of, we've put a lot of work into it, is what I'm saying. It really pulls out lots of stuff about our service in more detail, lots more feedback in there. That's going to be released later this week, so keep an eye out for it. So yeah, thank you ever so much. And thank you again, Nat, for joining us today. And if there's any other young people on here that I don't know if there are, can't really see many faces, but yeah, I just want to extend a big thank you to all the young people that have worked really hard with us on this. So yeah, thanks everyone. We can draw the event to a close now, I suppose.